Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's start our second part of the lesson and the last part, pages 684 to 685, how heat travels. How does heat travel? Heat energy always travel or flows from the higher temperature material to the lower temperature material, from the warmer object to the cooler object. Energy can move by three ways: convection, conduction, and radiation. What is conduction? Conduction is the movement of energy through direct contact. There is direct contact between the two materials. This means the two materials touch and energy flows directly from one material to another. Conduction is the only way that heat energy travels through solid. We have conductors and insulators. Conductors are materials that absorb heat and they can distribute it evenly throughout the object. They can, the heat can move through. So conductors, they distribute the heat evenly. Insulators, this is the opposite of conductors. Heat cannot transfer through them very well. Example of conductors: metals, like copper, for example, it is an excellent conductor. Example of insulator is wood. Insulation means any material used to prevent heat from flowing into or out a substance. What is convection? We learn about conduction. Convection. Convection is the transfer of energy by the flow of liquid or gas. The liquid or gas started to move in circles. These circles we call them current, convection current. Convections takes place in liquids and gases but not in solids. Convection, why convection happen? Because liquids and gases become less dense when they become hotter. When they heated, they become less dense. So their particles move faster and farther apart. Convection cycles are responsible for transferring energy throughout the Earth's atmosphere and oceans. Look at the picture here. These are convection currents. Now, heat conduct or heat transferred by conduction to the liquid which is in the bottom. Now the liquid in the bottom become very hot. It will start to raise up because it is less dense, and the cooler liquid will sink down, and the liquid will move in circles like this. The hot will flow or raise up, and the cooler one will sink down because it is denser than the hot liquid, and so on. We call this convection currents. When you heat a pot of soup, some heat energy transferred through direct contact between the pot and the soup. The most of the heat is transferred by the most of the heated soup located near the bottom, as I said, and then the heated soup will raise up and the cool one will sink down, and so on. Radiation. What is radiation? Energy from the sun reaches Earth by radiation. Radiation is the transfer of energy by electromagnetic waves. It can travel through gases and through space. Objects that absorb radiation gain energy. But sun not the only source of radiation. All objects give off a range of electromagnetic waves and they can transfer heat through radiation. Look here how the heat will transfer. Now this picture show how the energy transferred in the atmosphere through the three ways: radiation, conduction, and convection. In radiation, first the sun heats up the earth or the ground by radiation. When the air near the ground heated and become very hot through conduction, it will start to rise and the cool air will sink. This is convection, and this is happens every day and every second to warm up the atmosphere. The last part in the lesson: heat flow and clothing. When we are cold, we try to trap heat energy around our body. So, winter clothes are made of materials that are good insulators. Like what? Like wool. Why? Because it will trap energy and make our body warm. Also, winter clothes are dark in color because dark colors absorb more energy. The opposite in summer. In summer clothing is light in color and it is made of thin, lightweight materials. Why? To absorb less energy. Now we finished our lesson. There are pages 600 to 688. This is cancelled. Um, this is not necessary or important. So just read the 4 pages. This is our lesson and solve the workbook. Leave the questions that related to the last 3 pages.